What's up, weight makers? It's me, Mommy Suna. And we have an interesting one today. We got some paparazzi stuff going down. This video was sent to me by one of you guys. I sent this to my Google Drive, and I do so appreciate when you guys do that. It's a pretty long one, so maybe I should play this at a higher playback speed. So this particular paparazzi scammer, she's very well known in paparazzi. She's a six-figure earner, maven A-lister, I'm pretty sure is what her profile said on Facebook. I'm gonna keep her blurred and stuff because I don't fuck with these paparazzi people anymore. Like, they're very Sue happy. So even though that she's like extremely well known and this is a public video posted to her public Facebook account, I'm still gonna keep her blurred because what we're gonna see is her talking a lot about kind of, I'm not gonna say that this is political or anything, but she does talk about a lot of kind of systemic issues that we see in this country of ours. So I was curious, I mean, if it's someone in an MLM, especially someone in paparazzi, you can almost guarantee that every single time they are going to be a right-wing extremist. But I just wanted to make sure because she was talking about things that, you know, are issues in this country and we need to find ways around them to make life just generally better for the people who live here. So I asked my friend Andrew, who knew of this person personally, I said, question, someone just sent me a video of this person. I said, being an idiot. I'm just asking because I don't see it on her Facebook, but is she a MAGA-headed right-wing extremist? LOL. I figure you'd know. I'm gonna do a reaction video to it, but I didn't want to accuse her of something I didn't know for sure. I'm like 99% sure, but just making. And he responded with, oh, and then in all caps, absolutely! She used to be a friend of mine till I wasn't in the cult. She went freakishly right-wing extremist and Christian after Crack the Crown. It's like the founders told them all to go that way, because that's when a certain other distributor got weirdly godly, too. Yeah, I mean, they all kind of are, aren't they? Lots of talk about Satan and demons. Anyone who goes against paparazzi is automatically a demon, according to these people. But anyway, confirmed by someone who knew her personally. Yeah, she is extremely right-wing. So the reason I asked is because, like, just some of the things that she was saying, I'm like, you know, that can be fixed by not voting against your own interests, basically. We'll hear all this. I just thought it was really fascinating, but it's also just infuriating to hear acknowledging that these issues that she's speaking of are issues that need to be rectified and need to be fixed in this country. It's important to have these conversations so that we can get to the root of the problem and fix it. It's just extremely hypocritical to complain about these things and then be a MAGA-headed douche canoe. So anyway, okay, we'll click play here. Don't forget to leave your like, leave me comments. Of course, it helps the algorithm send this video out to more people so more people can see my content. I appreciate it so much. And with that, let's click play.
Okay, guys. So I was thinking about this today and I'm like, you know what? I have to talk about this. So this is like my normal everyday, the way I look, okay? So don't judge me. But I have something I want to talk about. And it makes me feel incredibly blessed to be where I am, to be able to do this. So this just hit me super hard thinking about this. Like, I'm a numbers girl. Like, everybody should know about me. First of all, I'm not wearing any jewelry and I'm literally cleaning my house and I'm doing all this stuff. So don't judge my appearance, okay? No judging. This is a judge-free zone, like Planet Fitness over here. So this got stuck on my brain and it honestly made me so mad. So mad. So I just came from the gas pumps, okay? In Lexington, our gas is $4.79, which is ridiculous. Well, don't even get me started on gas prices.
I just want to point out, well, first of all, here in Phoenix, our gas prices are like $5.75 right now, and they're even worse in other parts of the country. But one thing I do want to point out is, like, complaining about this, like, obviously it's valid because in our lifetimes, in all of history, we have never seen gas prices this high, ever. The thing you gotta know is, basically everywhere else in the world, gas prices are even worse. I mean, don't even get me started on gas prices. Like, I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna blame it on certain people in political power. Seriously, I talk to people from all over the world every single day, and the most frustrating thing is to hear people from like Norway or England or something be like, oh well, we pay $8 a gallon for gas. Over on the other side of the world, yeah, we're sitting here complaining thinking that we're the only people in the world who have this gas issue, and it's literally not that. We have no control over it as Americans, just like everyone else in the rest of the world is dealing with the same exact issue, and they have no control over it either. This has nothing to do with American leadership. quite frankly, anyone who like comes back arguing saying like, no, this is America's fault, this is our leadership's fault, you sound uneducated and you sound extremist and stupid. Even in like Canada, I know that they pay more for gas prices than we do here in America. If anything, price gouging here in America is less than everywhere else. Not to mention, a bill got sent to the House to vote against price gouging of gas prices specifically, and every single Republican voted no. So like I don't want to hear this rhetoric from people like this who have a certain political view on the world, who just go spewing dumb shit, complaining about something that we all actively are all frustrated by, but blaming it on something because you want to push your political agenda. It's like, how about blame it on the thing that's actually doing it? That and like inflation, again, like inflation is affecting the entire world. I don't know if you know this, but the pandemic affected the entire world, and the entire world's economies are trying to bounce back from it. It frustrates me to my core that there are people who truly like just willingly dismiss all of that, and they're just like, nah, it's Joe Biden's fault. It's like, oh my God. Listen, he's not my guy either. I didn't vote for him in the primaries, and I have been one to drop a let's go Brandon here and there. I don't necessarily like the dude either. But the point is, while I disagree with a lot of things that Joe Biden has done, I'm not going to blame him for the gas prices and inflation because it's not his fault. I think it's because there's an election coming up, and it's like if things don't get better, they can just blame it and be like, see, it's because we have Democratic leadership. But you're not voting for the things that we're trying to do to bring those prices down. You're just letting it happen so that you can complain about it more while your American people are just gonna sit here suffering. Sorry to go off on that tangent. I'm just so sick of hearing about the gas prices in America, because the gas prices everywhere else are significantly worse.
America is already struggling. To have gas at $4.79 on top of inflation is absolutely insane. Hi, Michael. We're gonna do some numbers, okay? And I did my math beforehand, and I literally scribbled it down on the back of an envelope. That's how, like, quick the brain was going. I even had 20 cents off a gallon. It was $4.59. I can't imagine people who drive diesel. There are people in America paying like $7 a gallon for gas. Like, take this in your own mindset of where you live, okay? I just spent $80 filling up my tank of gas. Now, the amount of time that I drive in a week is not very much. Okay, I stay at home, I work from home. Truly, the only like gas days that I spend is like if I go to our farm. And that's kind of rare, just because I literally live in the middle of Lexington. I'm really close to everything, which is super lucky. But when we move to our farm, my gas situation is gonna be a little different. But right now, it takes me about a week to burn through my full tank of gas. So $80. $80 is my weekly cost of gas. Okay, can't imagine people who literally work and go to work every single day. My husband drives and spends a ridiculous amount of money on gas, and so does my son because they travel a lot. I don't. So we're just going to put this solely in my context of I work from home, okay? That's ridiculous. Insanity. Okay. $80. All right. So I started thinking about it, and I was like, how many pieces of jewelry do I have to sell profit-wise? And yes, I'm going to talk about jewelry, and I'm going to talk about my business. And I'm sorry if you don't like people talking about their business, but I truly, 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 after the 5 years of doing this, believe that there is no other way to make money and be successful in this country unless you own your own business of some sort. You are not making any money for anybody else other than the people that you work for when you work a full-time job for corporate America.
You're in a multi-level marketing company. You're in a pyramid scheme. You do not own your own business. You don't own Paparazzi. You have no control over anything involving your business. Paparazzi is the one who tells you you have to sell everything for $5. That's not up to you. I mean, I think people get away with selling it for more, but that's like in, I don't know if you go to a boutique or something, but I mean on Facebook Live, like they're all selling it for $5 because that's competition, baby. That's capitalism for you. But she's like, you can't make money if you don't own your own business. Well, you don't own your own business with Paparazzi. You're an independent contractor. You buy all of your jewelry wholesale, and it's not even wholesale from what I understand. It's like you're literally purchasing the jewelry yourself because you're paying sales tax on it. That's how I understand it. I don't know if I'm wrong about that. Don't quote me on it. But this is the other thing I don't understand is like, she's like, you can't make money if you're working in corporate America. Bitch, every person who works in corporate America, or basically who has a real job, is making at least minimum wage. Every single one of them. You are quite literally making money by working a 9-to-5. You are quite literally trading your time for a paycheck. In MLMs, that's basically not the case. You a lot of times will put in a ton of work. You'll put in hours of work every single week and get nowhere, but like farther in debt. That's the reality of the situation. And it makes no fucking sense for her to be like, you basically can't sustain yourself in this economy if you aren't in an MLM, is basically what she's saying. And it's like, then how are so many people doing it? I don't believe believe that our minimum wage is high enough. I also know that since we've been raising it, CEOs have just been cutting costs in other places or raising prices so that they still continue to get the same paycheck. That's not how this is supposed to work, but that's what greedy CEOs do. I think that there should be a way to combat them from doing that. But what she's saying is just like inherently manipulative and not true. There are plenty of positions in corporate America that pay more than minimum wage. You know, maybe people live paycheck to paycheck and that fucking sucks. And in that case, it's a systemic issue. No one should go hungry while also working 40 hours a week. I don't think that's fair and I don't think that's right, but that's a systemic issue. Has to be fixed from the systemic level. Joining a multi-level marketing company is not going to change or fix that or make it any better. It's just factually not. As a matter of fact, multi-level marketing is a byproduct of our shitty economic structure.
I will never, ever, ever, no matter what I do, I will never go back to corporate America. Ever. Because it is insane to me to work an entire year for a 15-cent raise when I do the work of 4 or 5 people.
Now, when she says this, I get confused because, I mean, I've worked in corporate America, obviously. My husband works in corporate America right now, and he gets like, I think every 6 months he gets a raise. Why do they all have this like weird statistic where they're like, oh, you only get a 25-cent raise a year, you only get 15-cent raise? I'm like, who? Where? How? Why? I mean, it's probably happening to some people, sure. But I don't think that's necessarily the norm. I mean, I don't want to sit here and be like, businesses want to treat people well, because they don't. You know, they're very anti-union in this country because they want to be able to milk their employees for all their worth. And it's really shitty, and I don't agree with any of it. But that being said, I feel like they all say something like this along the lines of like, you're doing all this work and you just get a 15-cent rate. And it's like, who is that applying to? Because like my time in corporate America and my husband's time in corporate America have not been reflective of that. And maybe we're just lucky, but I'm like, I feel like you get more raises than that. But again, I guess it depends on where you work, so.
Because that was always me taking on other people's jobs. They made the same amount of money as me, but yet I was doing their job. That's ridiculous. And then I would beg for a 15-cent raise or beg for a certain time off because I wanted to be there for my kids for something, only to be put on double shifts or work overnight and all day.
I can't honestly say that every corporate job in America is going to treat you that way, because they don't. I mean, maybe like every once in a while it's like, yeah, you'll be asked to pick up a double shift or something. But like, I think in most cases, like this isn't like an everyday, every week thing. Like sometimes, yeah, it's a team thing. So wherever you work, you know, maybe there needs to be more coverage and you stay later to cover someone else, you know. And I obviously understand the frustration because I don't work a regular job anymore. I get to do my own thing, really. If you have a job that requires that of you, not that you want to work double shifts or you want to have like 80 hours a week. If you want that, then fucking whatever. That job sounds like it's right up your alley. But if you're working a job where you only want to work 40 hours a week and it's sold to you that way and they agree to it, and then like every week they're scheduling you doubles and then you're going above and beyond that, that sounds like you're being exploited and you probably shouldn't work there anymore.
Makes no sense to me, and I will never, ever, ever do it again. Ever. So I started thinking to myself, how many pieces of jewelry would I have to sell profit-wise? So we're not even going to talk about like the actual gross sales. We're going to talk about purely profit. How many pieces a week do I have to sell just to pay my gas bill? 35 pieces. I have to sell 35 pieces of jewelry. I used to sell $1,000 vehicles. Okay. $40,000, $50,000 vehicles. I think I can handle selling a $5 piece of jewelry. In fact, if I wear jewelry, everybody's always like, oh my gosh, I love that. Where'd you get it from? And I'm like, oh, it's $5. I sell $5 jewelry. How easy was that plug-in just then? I'm just saying, you can still work your other job if you want to, but I'm gonna tell you how you can work from home. Especially if you have kids, I need you to listen to me because it kills me to see other people raise other people's kids when all they want is to be home. Especially during summertime. You don't have the ability to send them off to school. You're home. You're home. Or you're gone paying for childcare. Now, I've never had to pay for childcare. Thank you, Jesus. I don't even know how much childcare is. All I know from my experiences of the people around me is ridiculously expensive for somebody else to raise your child.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? In a lot of other well-established countries in this world, childcare is not expensive or it's free. America is basically the only like first world country that charges an arm and a leg for childcare. Again, it's a systemic issue. I just hate this because it's like, if you join my team, if you sell this $5 jewelry with me, you'll never have to pay for childcare. And it's like, that's not necessarily true. I mean, I know how hard it is to work from home with kids. Like, it's hard. I get it, dude. Am I grateful that I get to raise my own kids? Yeah. But like, you shouldn't shame other people who have to send their kids to daycare. But also, like, I mean, daycare and preschool and stuff can be enriching for a child. And it's not a matter of like other people raising your kids. It's like they get to go somewhere and be be taught things and be engaged with things, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. But listen, if that's not for you and you don't want that for your kids, then I get it. I totally get it, because I didn't do that either. Like, I understand. But like, I'm just saying, like, don't be a dick to people who have no other option, especially because that expensive childcare that you're talking about can be good for them.
And you have no idea what's going on while they're raising your child. Okay? So 35 pieces is all I gotta sell in a week to pay for my week of gas. That's it. 35 pieces. That's profit margin. Profit. All right? The average American probably works for $15 an hour. I don't know what people work for now, but I feel like for me, when I was working 5 years ago, it was amazing if I was making $15 an hour. I was making $15 an hour as an assistant manager at Rite Aid for the biggest store in Kentucky. Biggest store in Kentucky. I was making $15 an hour. Now you cannot get people to work right now. You could go work in fast food and maybe make $15 an hour. They say starting at $15 an hour, then all of a sudden you get roped in and it's like $12.
First of all, I've never heard of that happening. If they say that you're hiring starting at $15 an hour and then they tell you, oh, we're only going to pay you $12, then that's like false advertising and also a red flag, and also get the fuck out. I wanted to know what the unemployment was right now, because I thought unemployment was like down right now. Was it? The unemployment rate right now is 3.6%. Yeah, I mean, from the looks of it, from what I'm looking at here, unemployment rate being 3.6% right now, if we go back to, so when Trump was in office, it was about 4.4%. So almost an entire percentage point up. And then obviously COVID hit and that went up to about almost 15%. But obviously, like, I'm not going to blame that on Trump. Like, I can blame him for other things, but like, I'm not going to blame him that COVID was a thing. But my point is that there was a point, one singular point in Trump's presidency where the unemployment rate was 3.6%. But the rest of it, it was higher. Try to tell me that you can't get people to work right now. We have the lowest unemployment rate that we've had pretty much in decades. If you look at the chart, it's like that is a statistic that's not hard to look up.
That's not a livable income for anybody. And every person who works for corporate America that I know right now is working multiple jobs.
I mean, we agree, right? Like, a lot of people on the left, basically everyone on the left, believes that, yeah, that's not a livable wage and it should be higher. The problem, obviously, is then that the CEOs, they don't want to take a pay cut. They don't want to have to start paying their employees more out of their own pockets, so then they find other ways around it, and that's fucked up. And yeah, I don't agree that that should happen. There should definitely be something to stop that. I'm not a politician, so I don't know what that would be. I will say I don't agree with that. It's just interesting to hear a right-wing extremist, having been confirmed by my friend who knew her. It's interesting to hear someone be like, yeah, $15 an hour isn't a livable wage. And then, like, meanwhile, the party they associate themselves with will never fucking vote for a minimum wage hike.
I don't know how y'all do it. I truly don't. I could never work multiple jobs. Ever. That's crazy to me.
Well, see, that's the other thing too. Sorry to keep pausing, but I mean, I agree. Like I said earlier, no one should have to work 40 hours a week and not be able to provide for themselves and live comfortably, have a roof over their head and be able to pay their bills. No one should have to be doing that. I agree. Hey, chick, you and I both agree that people should not have to work multiple jobs, work 80 hours a week in corporate America just to keep a roof over their head. They shouldn't have to do that. I agree. The problem is that you're clearly voting for a party that votes against all of that. You're voting for the party that's like, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Nah, man.
To work my life away for nothing. For nothing. You're working all year for nothing.
You're working yourself for a paycheck. You're trading your time for a paycheck. It's not for nothing. It's not for enough, but it's also not for nothing.
Still robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're still running up credit card debt, taking out loans. You don't have any money, but you work every freaking day of your life. That makes no sense. You should have money. You work all week. You should have money, but you don't. That's crazy. That's crazy. See, $10. $10. I just don't get it. I don't get it. That's $400 a week if you work 40 hours. That's a lot of time away from your kids, away from your husband. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. People are so scared of MLMs and they're so scared of working from home and they're so scared that they can't do it. They don't have any experience. You'll learn. I didn't either.
You can't learn luck. A big part of being successful is, well, first of all, you obviously have to put all morals and ethics aside. You have to be willing to step over people to be able to progress yourself. And that sucks. But like, we don't like MLMs for like a lot of reasons. And part of it is that like, we certainly don't want people getting sucked into your bullshit, because not everybody can win in MLMs. Most people don't. But at least if you're working a real job, it's overseen enough by the government so that you're guaranteed like a wage, not necessarily a livable wage in most places, but a wage nonetheless. Not enough government intervention in my opinion, and there should be more, but that's just the reality of the situation, dude. Oh yeah, so the luck thing. Yeah, you can't learn luck. A lot of it has to do with just falling into it. Did you get in early? Because that's part of it. Did you already have some well-established network that you could sell to? I mean, that a lot of times has to do with luck. You can't learn getting lucky, and that is a very big part. You put your ethics aside and you get lucky. That's how you succeed in an MLM. You can learn to put your ethics aside. Someone can teach you to be like, you know what? You should stop caring about what this line of work does to other people. Only focus on yourself. It doesn't matter what everyone else is doing as long as you're winning. Doesn't matter. Put your family first. Make money for your family in any way possible, even if it means taking money from other families. It's like the people who are working those multiple jobs or those long hours every week are the ones that you're stealing from, because you're sitting here preaching to those people. You're sitting here trying to sell that dream to people, to the same exact people that you're stealing from, dude. I don't know how y'all do it. I don't know how y'all have all these jobs and work all these hours for low wages. Meanwhile, here she is like, I'm in an MLM and my whole freaking downline is paying for my mortgage, but meanwhile they're thousands of dollars in debt. They can't pay for their own bills, but I can because of that. Because they spend so much money on $5 jewelry, fucking loading up on inventory they'll never sell. It's fucking frustrating.
But look at where I'm at now. I learned. I had people who helped me. I had people who acknowledged. I listened to them and I applied what they were saying. You could not join, to me, a better team than somebody who's been doing this for 5 years and knows exactly how to do it. I've created it. There is nobody better to teach you than somebody who's already done it. Now listen to me, because I'm going to throw some numbers at you. If you make $15 an hour to pay for 1 tank of gas, you got to work 5.5 hours. 5.5 hours. You got to work for free for 5.5 hours to pay for your gas to go to work.
That's not how this works. You're not working for free. You are working to make a paycheck, and then that paycheck buys you things like a tank of gas. You're literally working. If you want to put it this way, you are exchanging 5 hours of your time for 1 tank of gas. That's not free. That's not working for free. That's working in exchange for something. Is it shitty? Yep. Are gas prices insanely high right now? Yup. Are people struggling? Yup. Doesn't change the fact that you're not working for free. You're working for something. You're getting gas in exchange.
5.5 hours for free. That's not even including if you get food while you're at work. Because I used to think of it like, okay, I spent $10.
Well, you have to get food if you're at home too. You have to eat no matter where you're at. Eating at work is an expense, but eating at home is just normal. I mean, listen, we can't all live on a freaking farm, ma'am. She was saying she has a farm. I don't fucking know. Do you grow your own food? I mean, you have to pay for the seeds, but obviously it's like you can buy 1 chicken and then have a shitload of eggs. You know what I mean? Like, not everyone can just self-sustain that way with a farm.
Food while I was at work. Lost a whole hour of work. So I worked for an hour for free to eat my food. That's why I was like, I'm never going to eat while I'm at work. Like, bring food with me. It's ridiculous. And the cost of food now is so insane. Like, you could get a combo meal at Wendy's for like $6 before. Now it's 10. I spend more money taking my kids out to eat at fast food restaurants than I do sitting down at New Mexico. Take my whole family out for cheaper than what I would spend for garbage food at fast food. Seriously. So, childcare. Let's say that you spend $10 an hour for childcare. I don't know what babysitters get paid. I'm sure it's probably more than $10 an hour. But let's say you find a teenager that you can pay for $10 an hour, like my kids. My baby mama pays my kids $10 an hour to watch her kids. Okay, so 5 hours, that's $50. If you have to work 5.5 hours for free, you also have to pay $55 to somebody to watch your kids.
I do not believe that this is how our society should be run. Like, for example, after I had Sparrow, I used to work full-time, and then I had my first baby, and I was lucky enough to be able to, like, I ended up going down to part-time after having her, because it just worked out that, like, you know, we had my mom, my sister, my husband's mom, who were willing to help watch the kids, so there were, like, 3 days a week where we had someone available to watch the kids, so I'm like, I guess those are the 3 days I'm working. Same thing, I did not want to have to continue working the same amount of hours I was. 2 of those days would have just been going towards the childcare that I would have had to pay for. I didn't agree with it, and I was lucky enough to not have to do that. And luck shouldn't have to do with that. There's so many other places where childcare is government funded. Like, it's a public service. It's not this private shit that we have in America. It's not privatized in a lot of places. So yeah, I agree. I agree. It shouldn't be like that, and it's really shitty. But again, ma'am, you're voting for a political party that wants to privatize everything. They don't want the government's hands on all this. But if the government's hands were on it, yeah, we'd be paying more taxes, but people would have access to childcare. And here's an idea. If people had access to childcare, maybe they would work more. You want to sit here and bitch about, you can't get anyone to work. Okay, maybe make it easier for them to work. It's a simple concept, but that's not how these people think, so.
You worked 5.5 hours for free, and now you're backwards $55. What, paying somebody else to watch your kids? So let's say you do that for 40 hours for the week. Okay, that's $400. See, per child, like that's what I'm saying, per child. So $400 a week. I just put this on average because I have no idea, but I'm just saying, like, maybe you're paying somebody to watch your kids $400 a week. You might have the luxury of having a grandparent or somebody who can watch your kids, and that's awesome, but most of America does not. They can't afford for anybody to watch their children. So I'm going to say $400 per week. Now, if you worked 40 hours and you made $15 an hour, your gross before taxes is $600 a week. That's pretty good, right? $600 a week. It sounds good. It's not. You can't live off of $600 a week. Because if you take that $80 that you spend in gas, and then you take the money that you paid in childcare, you came home with $120 before taxes. You can't eat on that. You can't pay your bills on that. There's a reason why you're living off credit cards. There's a reason why you're having to go get cash advances and do all this stuff. There's a reason why, because you're working 40 hours a week and you're not making any money.
I agree with that. I just Googled it just to make sure that I was correct in my beliefs here. But yeah, no, I'm right. Nordic countries have the most generous childcare systems, including free care for low-income families. We, like, pretty much don't have anything like that here in America. It says governments still pay a significant portion of the cost of childcare, including payments for stay-at-home parents in countries. Yeah, you could stay at home and still get people to help watch your kids, or like they'll pay you to watch your own kids. Sorry, Griffin is speaking of kids. What I was just listing is true for countries including Finland, South Korea, and Denmark. In Europe, the cost of care is heavily subsidized. In Denmark and Norway, the cost of care for parents is capped at a certain percentage of the local cost of care, or capped at a certain share of family income. School is free for kids in France as soon as they hit the age of 3. When children reach the ages of 3 to 6 years old in Sweden, childcare provision is free for up to 15 hours a week. The United States, 100% is an outlier because we don't have any programs like that. And again, it's all on a systemic level.
You're working 40 hours a week for $120 for somebody else to watch your kids. That is crazy to me.
I agree.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I will never do it. I will never do it. I thought $15 an hour was a great amount of pay. It's not. It's poverty. It's poverty. According to the government, it's not. But to America, it's poverty. It's poverty. You don't get government assistance. You don't get food stamps. You don't get insurance. You don't get nothing from the government at all.
So do you want those things for Americans or not? Because that's welfare, my guy. Again, the right doesn't want people to be on welfare. They don't want to provide women with WIC or food stamps, or they don't want to provide that for their people because you're going to have to raise taxes to cover for it. The right wants as little government intervention as absolutely possible. So in that case, you cannot have services like reduced childcare, healthcare, food stamps, like any sort of government assistance. That's literally what that is. So it's like, you don't get food stamps, you don't get, it's like, okay, so do you want it or not? Like, you're making it sound like to me that like a $15 minimum wage is poverty, which I agree. I mean, really it is. Something should absolutely be done about all of that. But she's making it seem like, it'd be better if you didn't have to pay for food, if you had food stamps. Okay, so are food stamps a good thing or a bad thing? Make it make sense. The hypocrisy is so obnoxious.
Literally. The lower middle class, it's true poverty, but according to the government, it's not. It's not. If you have one child for a family of 3, your household income can only be up to $47,880. $47,880. If you and your husband both work and you make the same amount of money, you make $62,200. You are not considered poor in the eyes of the government for a family of 3. However, you're paying out childcare, you're paying out gas, you're paying out food. Let's say he puts $80 a week in his gas tank. That's a lucky estimate, okay? One fill up a week is not cutting it. Most people drive 40 miles a day one way to a job. That's 80 miles a day. I get 300 miles to a tank. You're filling it multiple times. Let's just be real. But we're going to put it on the low end that you only do $80 a week between the two of you. You actually, if he brought home the same amount of money and you paid out childcare from you and you paid out gas, you ended up with $640 for your week between 2 people working 40 hours a week each person. So for 80 hours of work, you ended up with $620 and somebody else watched your kids. You're considered poor, but not in the eyes of the government.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was a point, was it in this video I was talking about it? Maybe it was another time, where we had a big part of our income taken from us, my family. We were literally living less than paycheck to paycheck. We could not stretch our dollar any further. Even that, we did not qualify for food stamps. We did not qualify for mortgage assistance. Like, nothing like that. I had to borrow money from my grandma to pay my mortgage. That is true ass poverty, and that's not right. That's not okay. People should not be living that way. But she's voting against those interests, is basically what I'm saying here. So it's like, you can't sit here and bitch and moan and complain about all these systemic issues and then vote against the provisions that are going to fix those, or at least help them a little bit. Because why? Because socialism's bad. It's like, but you're sitting here like, you don't get food stamps. Okay, that's socialism, baby. What do you want? What do you want? This is like the Notebook. She's like, tell me what you want. Tell me what you want. What do you want, ma'am? You make 0 cents.
You don't get help. You get to work your whole life away for nothing and help somebody else in corporate America make a lot of money off of you for you to make nothing.
You want to watch this lady with me? What was she saying? I don't remember. You can't have... No, you're not playing Roblox.
Nothing. Like, it makes me so angry to see people do this, to work their whole life for 15 cents and beg people to get a raise. I don't get it. I truly do not understand. And if you went to school, oh my gosh, you're drowning in student loan debt. How many years is it going to take you to pay back your student loan debt? Truly. You know what else other countries have? What other socialists countries have? They have free university. Oh my God. You're listing all these problems that literally only exist in America because we have people who vote against their own interests like this. I mean, obviously there's private universities and shit that people still have to pay for everywhere. But generally, in a lot of places, university is covered up to 4 years in a lot of places. Sometimes even more. And I know Joe Biden was talking about wanting to make community college free, which is, 2 years, which would be great. Did that ever happen? No, of course not. Why would it? Because that's socialism. But yeah, let's just sit here and complain about how much money it costs to get a fucking education in this country, but then vote against those interests every time. You can't even get jobs and you can't get people to work. That makes no sense to me. Nobody can get a good job, but you can't get people to work.
3.6% unemployment rate, but no one's working, okay?
How does that happen? Like, what are we living in this time? So in my brain, I'm like, all right, we have to do things differently, okay? In order to make the same amount of money that you make working 40 hours a week, okay? That's 160 hours in a month, all right? I have to sell 1,280 pieces of jewelry. That is my profit, because I want to hear one person say at $5, it's not your profit. My profit, I have to sell 1,280 pieces to make the same amount of money as you working 160 hours a month.
That's a lot of jewelry. Is she trying to say that that is doable? Because I think for most people it's not. Maybe like 1 month you're gonna have a really good month and you're like, damn, I sold a lot of jewelry. But like, try to replicate that month after month, thousands of pieces of jewelry? And you know what? This chick, because she's doing so well in Paparazzi, do you know why she's making such a good paycheck in Paparazzi? Because she has a downline. In Paparazzi, when you have a downline, you're making money off of their inventory purchases. So you're not even making money off of what they sell, the jewelry that they sell. The only thing that affects your paycheck in Paparazzi as a leader, or whatever the fuck they call it, is how much your downline is buying, how much of their inventory they're buying. And guess what? Not everybody can have a giant downline like this chick, because there's a finite amount of people on this planet. Not everyone can be at the top of the compensation plan, living their best life on a fucking farm.
Let's say I only make I sell 20 pieces in an hour. So I go live and I go live for 2 hours and I sell 40 pieces. Because I have people tell me all the time, I only sold 20 pieces, but I went live for an hour. You're making more money than other people. You're making more money than other people working right now. And yet all you did was sit here and show some jewelry. This is about the easiest job I've ever had in my life. I mean, sometimes I think we make it more complicated than it needs to be, but I probably work less than 20 hours a week. If that. Maybe 15. It just depends on how I feel that week.
Right, but you have a downline of people contributing way more to your paycheck than that, though. You have the freedom, the financial freedom to be able to do that because you're one of the top 0.01%.
It takes me 64 hours. So if I sold 20 pieces in an hour, it would take me 64 hours in the entire month to make what you made in 160 hours. You have over 100 hours of your life gone. It took me 64 to make the exact same amount as you. And guess what I don't have? I don't have childcare expenses. I get to be home with my kids. I get to take them to the park and take them where the pool's at. I get to do stuff with my kids. I have money extra so I can take them on little vacations or weekend getaways. I get to be there for their first moments. You don't get those moments back. At one point in time, your kids will stop cuddling you and you will beg for cuddles. You'll beg for them to hug you. They'll beg for them to tell you they love you. You'll miss first words, first steps. All of it.
Yeah, let's just fucking guilt trip everybody who has kids and needs somebody to watch them while they work. That's a big part of America, and you're making people feel bad. It's just sick, like the whole thing. This is the reason why I'm just so black-pilled these days, is because there's like people like this, they want to sit and bitch and moan and whatever, but they won't do anything about it. Their solution is literally just join an MLM. Then all your problems will be solved. And it's like, no, that's literally not how it works.
Working your life away for somebody else. See, with owning your own business, your potential to make money is limitless.
Yeah, but you don't own your own business, and all of your inventory purchases are making money for someone else. Ma'am! As a matter of fact, the people beneath you are doing exactly this and making money for you.
The harder you work, the more successful you become. You got to learn a business. You have to educate yourself, get creative, find new ways to run a business. It doesn't just get handed out to you. But you worked hard to learn your job. You went to school to learn how to do your job. But then people get a business and they don't want to learn how to run a business. It's the same exact concept, except instead of going to corporate America, I'm working from home and making my money that goes into my pocket, that takes care of my kids.
It goes into other people's pockets too, though.
To where I don't have to rob Peter to pay Paul anymore. I don't have credit card debt.
No, you just have to rob your downline to pay for your farm.
Paid off almost all of our credit card debt. I will be honest, when I started this business 5 years ago, the hole that Michael and I were in was so deep. I have had people in my life commit suicide for less than what we owed.
That's fucked up, and also another systemic issue. We have created an economy where people feel like the only way out is to unalive themselves. That's not okay. That is red flag number 1,000,000 that things are not running well in this country, and they haven't been for decades, and that shit needs to change. It never will, though. Like, I'm black-pilled to shit. I have lost hope. I've lost all hope for this country. I do not see it changing or getting better ever, because there's some stubborn motherfuckers here who systemically alter the system to benefit their political stances that will keep them rich while we get poorer. More poor? It's not okay. It's super not okay.
I know people who committed suicide because they owed over $20,000. We owed over 50, if not more.
I mean, that sucks. That shouldn't be the norm. Things need to change. MLMs are not going to change that. As a matter of fact, they put people in more debt. More than $20,000 in debt. We hear that all the time. Tons of people have gotten way more in debt with a multi-level marketing company. So what's your point?
The amount of money we had to come up with a month was over $8,000 a month that we had to come up with to pay our bills. But now here we are with, I don't know, maybe $2,000, $3,000 worth of bills. And we have 3 homes that we have to pay for and run. Electric bills. I mean, God.
No one made you buy those 3 homes. Now we have 3 homes that we have to pay for. No one said you ever had to pay for 3 fucking houses. You're one person. You can stay at one place at one time. You cannot be in 3 places at one time. So you do not need 3 homes. Jesus Christ.
God almighty. Electric bills right now are going to be insane because I don't know about you all, but it's 100 degrees outside. I have to work 64 hours to make the same amount of money as you in 160 hours. And I don't miss my kids' baseball games. I don't miss that first home run because that is my biggest fear, is the one game that I don't go to. I'm going to miss my kids' first home run. How many moments have you missed because you had to work? Like, do you really want to miss all those moments until your kid is 18 and they move out?
This is so manipulative and gross, and it's fucking pissing me off, dude. Shut the fuck up. Stop guilting people and selling this false dream that is nearly unobtainable for most people, and by most, I don't mean 51%, I mean 99%.
And honestly, how do we expect kids to move out at 18 when the cost of a house is like quadruple what it would normally be? Our kids can't even pay for food and gas. How are we supposed to expect them to move out with a $2,000 rent?
That's because the housing market is a bubble that's about to burst right now, too, due to decades, well, I guess not decades, like a little over a decade since the last housing market crash, of banks giving money to people who cannot afford to pay it back so that they continue to profit, despite the fact that they are literally constantly building the housing market into a bubble that's just going to keep bursting over and over again. That's where we're at right now. Another systemic issue that is a byproduct of the way we run things here in America. It sucks, but it's just a byproduct of the rich staying rich and getting richer while the rest of us suffer.
Because here it's $1,700 to $1,800 to rent a crap old house in the hood over here. Because that's where I live. I mean, come on. It is crazy to me how poor America is, yet the government says poverty is $47,880 for a family of 3. For a family of 3. you can't make over $47,880 to get government assistance. And you wonder why people don't work. They make more money sitting at home on unemployment, getting food stamps and everything else than they would go into a job.
Wait, so what is it then? You were just saying that, like, the poverty level is so insanely low that, like, you can't even qualify for help even if you need it. And now she's like, oh, well, you make more money if you don't work. And it's like, that's quite literally not true. That was the case during COVID. Unemployment insurance ended like 6 months ago. Probably more than that at this point. It ended months ago. So you're really going to try to tell me that there are still people sitting on their ass, not making a it's like literally not true. We looked at the unemployment graph. We are lower than we've been in decades. There are more people working now than ever before. So what are you talking about? And to the people who it's like, well, they make more by sitting at home and getting government assistance. A lot of those people need that though. There are people with disabilities who need government assistance. They like literally can't work.
My mind was blown looking at this. So I want to talk about the last thing I want to talk about. In the 5 years of my business, and you can report me to the IRS if you want to, and they can audit all my stuff. I claim everything because I wanted to buy a house. I made sure we claimed everything. Okay. So don't worry that I did.
Wait, maybe someone should report her to the IRS, dude. She made sure to report everything. Probably, I don't want to like accuse her of anything, but maybe like fraudulently at this point. I mean, did you take out some PPP loans? Are you one of your MLM buddies who did that? Because a lot of y'all did that fraudulently during COVID. I don't understand. Like, she keeps going back and forth because now she's like, oh, I got all these tax credits. I wanted to buy a house, so I took advantage of tax credits. I took advantage of the government taking care of me, you know?
I made over $1 million in 5 years in sales. Over $1 million. Took me 5 years. My goal was to make $1 million by the time I was 30.
Just in sales? Are you serious? How many pieces of jewelry do you have to sell to make $1 million? You have to sell 444,444 pieces of jewelry in order to make $1 million in sales. And she said she did that over the course of 5 years. So that's 1,825 days. So if we divide 444 divided by 1,825, you have to sell 243 pieces of jewelry every single day to sell 444,000 pieces of jewelry in 5 years. Yeah, when she says that she made $1 million in sales, in just straight sales in 5 years, I call the biggest bullshit. There's no fucking way. There's no... She was saying I only work like 15 hours a week if I want to, 20 to 15 hours a week. There's no way.
By the time I was 30, I succeeded. I hit that goal that I'd set in front of myself. I made over $1 million in 5 years. Okay.
Because you have a downline, dude. Like, there's no way that that's just in sales. No way.
So if you work 160 hours a week and you work your life away, it would take you 45 years to make $1 million. Not keep $1 million, make $1 million. 45 years. 45 years you would have to work to make $1 million. My first year of business, I made like $35,000. And I worked super, super hard. But I worked even harder to make sure my business became a successful business that I didn't have to work 30, 40 hours. I didn't have to. I didn't set out to work paparazzi so that I could work my life away. I set out to be able to provide for my family, do my self-care, and self-care is expensive. My hair, as wild as it is right now, $200. Lashes, $200. Botox,
$200 for those lashes though? Whoa. They're like the same obnoxious MLM lashes, if you know what I'm talking about. Like, they're just like extremely obviously fake lashes. And I think you have to get those redone like every 2 to 3 weeks or some shit. That seems like extremely expensive for lash extensions. I mean, I don't know. I've never gotten them, so maybe that's what you pay for them. But I'm like, that's not worth it to me. Like, just buy some falsies and glue them on, dude. It's not that hard. And it's definitely not that expensive.
$450. Nails, I got my nails and my toes done, $200.
Wait, did she say $450 for Botox? Because like I can get a Groupon for Botox. I was just looking at it the other day. I want to say it was like $120 for a syringe of Botox or something like that. That's a Groupon, obviously. I think some of them were going up to like $200. But I mean, I guess if you're paying for everything full price to get Botox and you do that every 6 months-ish or something like that. Yeah, it sounds to me like she's overpaying for Botox.
It's insane. And you can't do any of that. How do you pour from an empty cup into other people? You can't. You can't. You're burnt out in both ends. And you have no idea what to do. You're drowning in debt. You have no idea what to do. And I'm telling you, you see people posting about this stuff on Facebook and you just kind of overlook it because you're like, oh, it's an MLM. They just want to make money from you. I don't want to make money from you. I could care less if I made money from my team. I cannot stand seeing people drown in debt.
The people on your team are drowning in debt because of their involvement underneath you.
The fights that they have with their spouse are about money. Whoever said money doesn't buy happiness is a liar. They're a liar. Okay. Now, I would never want to wake up with a lot of money and not have my family, but having money and not having worries like you do right now not knowing where you're going to have the money to pay for your bills, going to the grocery store with a calculator and having to put stuff back. Yeah, I've been there, been homeless. I get it. I worked a ridiculous amount of hours, 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week, trying to pay for my rent and my car payment. And all I could afford was buying packs of ramen noodles. And I hate ramen. It takes me, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can ever eat ramen again. With one pot to cook my ramen in. I know what it's like to be poor. But I'm not poor anymore. And I refuse to ever be poor again. Because I will always own my own business. Because I know, after all the experiences that I've worked since I was 15. In the 15 years that I've worked, I was poor when I worked for corporate America. I'm not poor now. I work for myself.
You still give a lot of money to the Kirby family. Paparazzi is not your business. You're still working to make other people rich. Although now, generally, people are working to make you rich now because you got lucky and ended up at the top of the pyramid.
Not poor now. In fact, all I did was create more debt and still worked my life away for 10 years. We retired my husband. We retired my mom and dad. We got to spend time with my mom and dad before they passed away. It gave us years with them that we would have never gotten otherwise. Never. We got experiences with them that you can't replace. My parents got to go to grandparents' days. My kids have pictures with their grandparents at those days at school that they wouldn't have gotten had they were still working for corporate America.
This guilt tripping is pissing me the fuck off. Like, I'm fuming. Like, I'm fucking fuming. The entitlement, the privilege, like, it's sick. It's sick.
The only way to make money is to own your own business.
Not true. Literally not true.
When COVID hit, you saw how important you were to your company. Many of you lost your jobs. Okay? They didn't care about you. You were a number to them.
I mean, but the government did shut a lot of those jobs down, so they didn't have a choice. There's more to it than just like, oh, you're 9 to 5, let you go because they don't care about you. It's like, I'm sorry, but there was a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic going on. So, pretty much out of everybody's control there. It wasn't a matter of like, look how unimportant you are to these assholes. It's like, I mean, yeah, you're unimportant to your billionaire boss. Yeah, of course. But, I mean, there was kind of a big thing going on in the world that we're still recovering from. And recovering poorly, in my opinion. The guilt tripping is just absolutely wild. She is trying to make you feel like you are not valuable at all in order to pull on your heartstrings, hook you, and pull you into paparazzi or an MLM in general. Like, she would prefer that you join paparazzi, of course, because she'll make money off of it. It's really gross.
You were a number to them. They didn't care that you had a family to feed. They didn't care that you had no money. They didn't care that you were hungry. They didn't care. They cut you off because they couldn't make their bottom line. There are trucking companies going under every single day because they can't afford gas, which means that we're in a crisis of trying to get people to deliver food and supplies. You wonder why shelves are empty? That's why. Because people can't afford gas. Trucking companies can't afford gas to deliver your stuff to you.
I mean, that's not the only reason why. There's also supply chain issues. I shouldn't have to explain this. I think we know this by now, but it seems like she doesn't understand this. But people were like holding on to money and saving it and not spending as much. So like the production had to slow down a little bit because there was less consumerism going on because, you know, there was a pandemic. No one was leaving the house or buying things unnecessarily. So now that the economy is back up and running and things are doing its thing again, kind of got to get the gears turning again. So there's a much higher demand for these products and services than there was over the past 2 years. And it takes a little bit of elbow grease to get it all going again. It's pretty easy to understand that there are supply chain issues. We had a backup before. That backup like ran out and now we're getting back into the swing of things. COVID fucked everything up for everyone. Everyone in the world, not just America. We're coming back from it and we're working on it. We could be doing better, but it's something, okay? But I think the things that she's blaming all of these hardships on is she's just not understanding the source of the problem.
That's it. They don't have the money to do it. I'm sorry, but working 45 years to make $1 million, and that's not keeping $1 million, that's making $1 million, is unreal to me when I did it in 5. There are people in this business that work hard. I'm talking they go live every single night that have made over $1 million in a year selling jewelry.
Not just selling jewelry. There's no way. You said $1 million in 5 years, and even that seemed impossible to me, doing it just with sales. $1 million in 1 year with just sales? No, not happening. Tell me who the fuck is doing that because I'd like to have a conversation with them. I'm gonna call a big hell no on that. People who are making $1 million a year in paparazzi, which there's not many, but people who are doing it because they have a team. They've got team bonuses. They are making a commission off of the people beneath underneath them buying inventory, not even selling it. They could be sitting on hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of inventory that they will never sell, and it doesn't fucking matter to the upline because they already got their money. They're not the ones going into debt. It's the people who are buying the inventory.
$1 million in a year selling jewelry.
No.
And they don't have a huge backstock. They work their business in a smart way. They made it in a year. I will never understand working for corporate America who cares nothing about you.
She's leaving out so many important details here, and it's so fucking frustrating.
My customers know everything about me. I've made so many friendships because of paparazzi. I have made lifelong friendships because of that. I will never leave this business because what paparazzi has given me is priceless. It's priceless. If I didn't make a dime from my team, I would still work my business. I still make money from my business to survive. That's the point. You don't have to have a team. You don't have to recruit people. I sign people up for this business because I want them to change their life and realize that they are missing out on their kids' lives.
Oh, bullshit. Fucking bullshit. You sign up people underneath you because you make money off of that. You make money every time they buy inventory. You make money off of that starter kit that they purchased at the beginning when they signed up in the first place. We're not stupid. Some people might be stupid enough to believe what you're saying here, but I'm not fucking stupid. And I know people who are watching this are not stupid enough to fall for that. It's just not true. You're a fucking liar. You're a fucking manipulator. And this is so infuriating.
When they could be home making more money for less hours. Because it's true. I watch people every day do it. I've watched people quit their full-time jobs because they realize they're not making any money. It's scarier than you think it is. And I literally spell this out for them the exact same way. You need to look at how much money you need to make in a month and divide it into your profit. How many pieces do you need to sell? Sell those many pieces. It's that simple.
You cannot force someone to buy something. It's not that easy. And your jewelry is fucking ugly. Sorry. And as we know from what Tracy has told us, Tracy Reed, who used to be very high up in paparazzi as far as the sales she was making, she's told me that a large majority of the people who bought pieces from her were other consultants because they wanted to add the pieces that she got her hands on first. They wanted to add that to their inventory, even though buying that from Tracy was not going to bring them a profit because they paid $5 for it from Tracy, and then they go turn around and sell it for $5 in their shop because they're not allowed to sell it for any other price than $5. They were doing it because they are made to believe that, like, you gotta have these new pieces, you gotta have these certain styles. If you have more to offer, people will shop around from the rest of your inventory. They'll buy more from you. And it's like the whole thing defeats the purpose. The whole thing is absolutely wild. And who's profiting off of that? The uplines, the people up at the top. That sounds crazy. I know that sounds absolutely nuts. And it's like, why the fuck would someone do that? Why the fuck would somebody not make a profit off of the work that they're doing? It's because they're brainwashed into doing it. They literally believe that they need to be doing it. And why? Because of uplines like this.
You need $1,000? Okay. Sell however many pieces it takes. I don't know math off the top of my head. That's why I had to write it all down. Okay? For me, an average live show for me, and I'm not even the top of the company anymore. I don't sell like I used to. I don't work like I used to. So I'm being truthful here. In a live show, I make about $1,000. I sell about 200 pieces. 200 pieces. For me and my profit, that's $450 for 2 hours. So I do about 2 hours on a live show, make about $1,000. I make profit about $450 in profit in 2 hours. Was it like that in the beginning? No. There were times I only sold 20 pieces in an hour. But apparently, I can do that all month long and only work 64 hours, and you can work your butt off for 160 hours, and I can make the same amount of money as you. Just selling 20 pieces in an hour. You are fully capable of selling $5 jewelry. There is no such thing as consultant saturation. We have new pieces drop every single day, and I honestly don't know how they do it, but every single day they beat what they did before. Our collections get better and better. We follow fashion trends.
Also, one thing you have to, like, regarding this anyway, one thing you have to realize is that it was proven, I don't remember the context, but it's definitely one of my paparazzi videos, where it was literally proven that, like, the elites, people high up in the compensation plan, got access to those daily jewelry drops before everyone else. They got to shop before everyone else. So who gets all of that jewelry? Who gets all the new inventory every single day? She does. She gets all that shit before anybody else. And I would be so fascinated to know how many of those 200 pieces of jewelry she sells in a day's work, how many of those customers were other consultants. They want that shit that she got access to first, that they get to buy out first before it all sells out. She got that. And what are they doing? They're basically made to believe that they need to have those pieces in their shop. I'm curious to go look and see. I'm going to her Facebook right now to see how often she goes live. Does she not save her lives? Because most paparazzi consultants do, because then people can go back back and they do the comment sold thing. 6 days ago, she posted a picture of a bracelet, and she posted her account or her website and was like, shop for this beautiful bracelet. Oh my god. It got 11 likes and 2 comments. How are you selling 200 pieces of jewelry to like actual customers? If she goes live every single day like she says she does, I'm not seeing it. There are some posts on here where she's like, oh, here's this bracelet, whatever, and then people will do the comment sold thing on there. I mean, she did say that she's not working the way that she was before, but like I'm literally seeing that she's not doing any selling at all, unless she's selling somewhere else. I mean, she has a Facebook account that she hasn't posted in since May, and it says that she's a motivational speaker. Yeah, there's like nothing on here really about paparazzi. I have no idea. I don't know how often she's going to sell, but from what I'm looking at on her profile right now, I don't see it. I don't see her doing it. And I would guarantee that she's making all the money she says she's making off of her downline, not actually doing the work herself. Again, I mean, this just feels really manipulative, and it's just like one big lie.
Paparazzi is like this amazing company that is unlike any other MLM, in my opinion. We don't have the same product. We all have different stuff. I have customers who shop with 5 or 6 people, and they buy from all of us. They want to support all their friends. You could spend $5 here and $5 there and $5 there and support all of your friends and know that you're helping all of them, instead of spending $20 for one item here. And you can't do that for everybody. But you could shop with 4 people and support them for $20. If you need help and you're on my team, I will help you. Don't worry. And I only went live 1 day a week when I started. That was all I had. I kicked everybody out of my house too. I'm not even going to talk about how insanely scared I was, because I have major anxiety. Literally take medicine for anxiety doing this. But now I love it, because it's such an amazing way to reach as many people as possible. I am my customers' favorite show. They look for me every single time they know I'm going live. And we have a good time. It is literally their outlet to just have fun and decompress from their day working for corporate America. I don't get it. And honestly, if you want to talk to me about joining my team, I'll talk to you about it all day long. All day long. I'm never going to pressure you to join. I'm never going to pressure you to tell you have to buy jewelry. All I'm going to do is be there to support you. There are other people that will push you and do other stuff that I don't do, because I'm not here for that.
You're not going to pressure people to buy jewelry, but isn't that the business? That's the business. You have to buy jewelry to sell it. You have to spend $2.75 per piece of jewelry you buy to sell it for $5 and make a $2.25 profit. That's what you have to do. That's the business. So what are you going to do? You're just going to like be a motivational speaker to them? Come on.
I'm here to hold your hand. I'm not here to tell you you have to do something. I'm not here to make you do anything. All I'm here to do is teach you how to run a business.
And rule number 1 of running a paparazzi business is you have to have inventory to sell. There you go. And guess what? She's going to make money every time she tells you to buy more inventory, and then you go do it. Yeah, she's going to make money every time.
Be there for you when you're having a meltdown, or you've had a bad day, or you think for some reason that you're not successful because you sold 20 pieces on a live. You're doing better than people working 15 hours, $15 an hour, 40 days a week, 40 hours a week. You're doing a lot better than them, and you worked an hour. The numbers don't lie. And when I filled up my tank of gas today, that's all I could think about is how many people are struggling to even put gas in their tank. When I scroll my newsfeed, it's all about gas. How people can't afford gas. That they can't take much more of this. I'm telling you right now, it's not going away. We are about to go into a full-on recession. One of the worst recessions we've ever had in years. In the history. Because you can look at our stock market and see how much it's plummeted, and it's literally, I'm pretty sure it's exactly where one of the worst recessions in our life has ever been. If you look at all the recessions in the history of America, you can see we're right there.
She's right. And this is why I keep saying, like, no, iGenius, you know, all these trading MLMs, like, don't even think about it. Don't you try to get into day trading right now. Don't try to invest in anything right now. As much as people are like, look, it's down. Like, it's a good time to invest because it's just going to go back up. No, I think she's right when she says we're going to go into a recession. Because like she was saying before, the housing market is insane. No one can afford rent or their mortgage. It'll get better eventually. Shit crashes and then it goes back up. I just think people need to definitely be careful about all that shit. When it comes to what she's saying here, yeah, I think she's right. And it's not going to get better anytime soon. It's only going to get worse before it gets better. But just know the reasons why that is and quit making up shit to push your fucking political agenda, people, please.
I will never understand working for multiple jobs. I will never understand working your life away to make somebody else money. For a CEO that doesn't even know your name. I know all my team members' names. I know their family. I know a lot of them why they do this and what their goals are because we talk. It's not just, you're not just a number to me. I want you to be successful. I want you to sell your 20 pieces a day and stay at home with your kids for an hour, 20 pieces an hour. I want you to do that. I want you to hit whatever goal that you set in front of yourself. And I will give you every single tool that I have that's worked for me. And some things won't work for you, but other things may rock your world. But you will never explain to me why this works. Never. Because it doesn't. If you're wondering why you're broke, and you're wondering why the government won't help you, and you're wondering why you're poor, but the government doesn't see you as poor, and you don't get assistance, you don't get food stamps, you don't get insurance, you struggle, you can't pay your bills, and you have literally...
Okay, see, now she's back to being like, oh, poor you, you're so poor, but you still can't afford these things and the government won't give you assistance. Do you want government assistance for people or not? Because just before she was like, people make more money being on government assistance than they do working. It's like, okay, ma'am, you have been an absolute giant hypocrite this whole time. You are contradicting yourself. You're making no sense.
The most basic bills on the planet, you still can't pay for them. You can't pay your mortgage. You can't pay your electric bill. You can't pay gas. You can't pay cell phones. You go into debt just to buy your kids a birthday present or a Christmas present, and you drown in debt for 45 years when you could try a work from home business where you can make money working from home, spend all the time that you want with your kids. I never miss an event. Never. Not ever. I'm not going to either. I took my kid tuxedo shopping for his prom. I was there for prom pictures. I was there for all of it. All of it. And I will always be there. I don't miss cookouts. I don't have to miss it. I can decide not to go, but I don't have to miss it. And people can say you're a liar all you want, but the proof is in the numbers. Proof is in the numbers. I sell an awesome product that's $5, and I'll be honest, people...
Awesome, meaning fucking lead-laced, arsenic-laced jewelry. And just a disclaimer, I'm not just saying that. Like, if you're new here, it's been scientifically proven. There have been lab tests, I guess, done on their jewelry that have come back to show that there are elevated and illegal levels of toxic heavy metals in paparazzi jewelry, including lead, arsenic, mercury, antimony, cancer-causing shit, you know? Yeah, but it's such an awesome product. You can get lead poisoning for only $5. How awesome!
People may not even have money, but they still buy jewelry because shopping is therapy for a lot of people. And at $5, you can do a lot of therapy. A lot of therapy. I have a ridiculous amount of jewelry that I've saved for myself, yet I continue to save pieces for myself. And I run this business. Like an insane amount of pieces that I keep for myself, but I can't help it because I love them. It's pretty. It makes me feel good.
But you're not even wearing any of it right now. Like, I mean, whatever. There's obviously going to be times in your life where you don't feel like wearing jewelry, but I don't know. I mean, if you're like that obsessed with the product, like as obsessed as you're trying to make everyone think that you are, why the fuck aren't you wearing even like earrings? I don't know.
There's nothing better to me than throwing on an amazing pair of earrings and rocking some earrings because earrings are my jam. If I leave my house and I actually like put clothes on, I look like a hot mess right now because I'm cleaning my house and stuff. But if I do that, I'm rocking some earrings and I'm selling jewelry because all I have to do is take my business cards with me or take extra of my earrings. And every time somebody wants a pair, that's $5. Maybe you still love your job and you just want extra money for vacations. Take your jewelry with you to work. I have a lot of people who take their whole box with them and put it on the table. And by the time lunch is over, it's all gone.
You literally cannot do that in most places of work. When I had my big girl job, when I worked for corporate America, there was literally like a clause in our policies and procedures, which I believe is also a clause in a lot of businesses, if not basically all of them, where you can't do that. You can't come and work your other job on the company's time. That's conflict of interest. You can't just show up and start selling shit while you're on the clock. Like you literally can't do that. You can get fired for that shit. Do not tell people that, oh, this is what you need to do. You need to take your inventory to work and sell to your fellow employees, to your coworkers. No, people get fired over shit like that, and you literally can't do that. Like, even when I had my job, my boss had like she was trying to start a side business where she was making greeting cards. She like invested in these like paper cutting machines, like crazy shit, and her cards were super cute. But my boss's boss told her she could not do that at work. And it was her own business, she made her own little cards. We were a pet store. I was a dog groomer. So it's not like it was a competing product. It was just a matter of like, you cannot come here and on company time try to make money with another business. You can't, like, you literally just can't do that. So do not sit here and be like, oh yeah, all you have to do is sell to your coworkers. Are you trying to get people fired? Because like people get fired for that. Luckily my boss didn't get fired. She just got a talking to, like, you can't do that. Go home and sell however you want, sell on Facebook, whatever, but you cannot bring your stock here and try to sell to people. And she couldn't even like market herself while she was on the clock. She couldn't go into the lunchroom and be like, hey, by the way, if you ever need greeting cards, Sally, hit me up. Like, she was not allowed to do that. It's just against policies and procedures. Quit making shit up to try to get people fired, dude. Stop.
And that was just extra money for them. And they're going on vacations with that extra money that they made. They have goals and things they want to achieve, and they do what they have to do to achieve it. I don't have to worry about putting $80 in my gas tank. I don't have to worry about the fact that my son apparently thinks that money grows on trees and he spends all my money. Because he does. I don't have to worry about that. And I don't want anybody to have to worry about that. I don't want anybody to have to hire somebody to watch their kids for them. Unless you just want to. Then sell jewelry and pay for your dog care. If it's something that you want to do with your child and teach them the business, you can do that. They can't sell the jewelry, but they can learn the side of business. My dad taught me business. He was never home, but he taught me how to run a business. And now I use it to make money. And it didn't take me 45 years to make the money that I wanted to make. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I know this is a hard subject for people, because immediately when you hear about MLMs, you want to discount it. I can't stand when somebody wants to find a product and they say no MLMs. I think it's because they have such a bad experience with cold messaging. We don't do that. Never going to cold message you. If you want to join Paparazzi, you want to give it a chance, you message me.
Why is this such a big part of the conversation right now? I feel like MLM distributors everywhere right now are all like blaming cold messaging for all of their problems. And it's like, where is this coming from? Because yeah, it is a grain of sand upon the beach that is the problems of MLMs. The MLM problem beach. One grain of sand is cold messaging. But every other grain of sand is like just another fucking thing that we don't like about MLMs. I think most of it has to do with, manipulating people. The way you have to manipulate people to make a profit or to make a sale. Yeah, there are a lot of reasons why people don't like MLMs, dude. And I think maybe what they find so much more frustrating is that they don't want to spend the extra money it's going to take to buy from you, because your products are overpriced, because it's an MLM. Obviously with Paparazzi it's different, like, because $5 is like that's cheap. But they're definitely spending like pennies to make each piece of that jewelry. Maybe that infuriates you, but $5 in general isn't like a big investment. But like, for example, I don't know, buy some skincare from Rodan and Fields or whatever. You can get skincare that's just as good, if not better, for less from a lot of other sources. I don't know, protein shakes from Arbonne. Like, you can get shit that's just as good, if not better, for less. People don't want to spend the extra when they can get something just as good, if not better. It's not because of cold messaging. Cold messaging contributes to it, but it's not that. Like, how about have a little bit of self-awareness? It's not that hard to see why people don't like MLMs, dude.
If I push you into something that you're not interested in doing, you will not have success, because in your brain you've already decided that you cannot be successful, and you're right. You're exactly right. But when I joined Paparazzi, my husband told me I would never make money selling $5 jewelry, and look at me now. I made a decision of what I was going to do with my life and my business. That is now our business and our life.
You don't make money selling $5 jewelry. You make your money off of your downline buying $5 jewelry. You're not doing that anymore. I just looked at your profile. I haven't seen you go live in forever.
And it is paid for baseball. It is paid for braces. It is paid for that old truck out there. It is paid for so many memories that I wouldn't have had it not been for Paparazzi. And people can say whatever they want about this company and this business. And I'm sorry if people have bad experiences. There are bad experiences in everything that you do and everywhere that you go. It doesn't mean that the whole company is bad. It doesn't mean that every person is bad. I've had bad waiters before. It doesn't mean that I hate Texas Roadhouse. Still love Texas Roadhouse. I don't base that off of the entirety as a whole. There are good Christians and there are extremist Christians. There are people who make Christians look bad. That doesn't mean we're all bad.
From what I've been told, you're an extremist Christian, so...
Same thing with any business. If you don't like one, go to somebody else. There's a lot of consultants that you can shop with. There's a lot of people who are working really hard to pay for their kids and work from home and be successful, and you can shop with any one of them. And there's no hard feelings that you decided to shop with one over the other, or you decided to shop with 5. That's your choice as a customer. And that's a luxury that you have with all of these consultants who love what they do. And you can seriously see the people who love what they do. There is a major difference. I don't just work to work. I work because I love what I do. I love it. I get messages from people that are like, this is the most beautiful piece of jewelry I've ever seen. And I can't believe it's $5.
Oh, for fuck's sake. No one says that about a $5 piece of jewelry. Have you ever been to like the mall? Have you ever walked past one of those diamond stores at the mall? Like, you're gonna say that like anything from Paparazzi is more beautiful than something like an actual diamond? There's no way. It's either you've never seen a nice piece of jewelry before and you just think that Paparazzi looks nice, or you're just a fucking liar.
And I'm like, me too. Me too. Because I know exactly what their face looked like when they opened that package. That makes me excited just thinking about it. So yeah, if you want to talk about it, if you want to see what it might take for you to work from home, I'm happy to do numbers with you all day long. I love numbers. I just have to have a calculator in front of me. Can't do math off the top of my head. But we have a lot of kit options. We have small kit options. We have larger kit options. You don't have to go completely far out. You don't even have to pay all of it up front. There are other options that you can do, other platforms that you can use. I know a lot of people will use Klarna to pay for their starter kits. You can totally do that. Totally do that. It's interest free. You pay it every 2 weeks. You work your butt off to sell your kit. You can do it. You can't tell me that in every 2 weeks that you can't make a payment to Klarna and pay off your...
You're going to guilt people into joining your fucking team and finance your starter kit. Like, that's gross. That's just gross.
I have a method. It's called the Gold Star Method. I teach you how to invest in your business without spending any more money. You got to follow my model and work with me.
How are you going to do that without buying inventory? How are you going to grow your paparazzi business without buying inventory to sell? The only way that you're going to make money off of your paparazzi business without selling is by having a team, and you're making money off of the people who are buying stuff to sell. And if that's your gold star method, not everyone can do that. You have to be able to recruit people. There's a finite amount of people on this planet, dude.
But you can do it. It'll take you time to build, but if you're willing to do it and you're willing to do it that way, I can teach you how to do it. But you gotta work. You gotta work. If you can dedicate 40 hours a week to a job, give yourself the same amount of effort that you put into your business, your job, that somebody else makes money off of you, put it into your business. I guarantee that you'll see results. Guarantee it. So I hope you guys have a good day. I just had to talk about this because it was really, really in my heart, and I was really upset when I filled up my tank and it cost me $80. But granted, I only have to do it once a week because I work from home. It's not that bad. But I know other people have vehicles that cost a lot more. My husband's cost a lot more than me. We have equipment that costs a lot more. He travels a lot more than me. But just from my personal experience, when I look at it like that I only would have to sell 20 pieces an hour for 64 hours in an entire month, and I make the same amount of money as somebody who makes $15 an hour working 160 hours in a month. That seems pretty easy to me. Pretty easy. So, all right. I love you guys. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you later. Bye, y'all.
Okay, that was it. I just want to say too, like, I feel like she keeps saying the whole, like, all you have to do is sell 20 pieces an hour, like, making it sound like that should be easy, but like that should be the bare minimum, because she's like, oh, I would sell 100 pieces an hour, blah, blah, blah. That took her a while to work up to. It's like, I'm pretty sure selling 20 pieces an hour is going to take some time to work up to. You can't just, like, wake up and start doing that and immediately start making $15 an hour. It just seems really unrealistic. She's painting a picture that is just unachievable. Anyway, that was that. Sorry for getting a little political. I know you guys don't like it when I do. Some of you guys are appreciative of it, and I appreciate those of you who appreciate me spewing my guts out about this shit. But I heard this. One of you guys sent it to me, and I guess probably just knew, like, oh, Savannah's gonna hate this. Because, yeah, there was so much hypocrisy there, so much blaming things that are not to blame. It's just frustrating. It's very frustrating. And of course, paparazzi consultants are really pulling out all the stops. They don't care what they need to say, who they need to step all over. It doesn't matter to them, just as long as they're still making their paycheck. Because right now, a lot of people are leaving paparazzi, or not working their businesses the way that they used to, or not making sales the way that they used to, because, you know, people know that there's lead and nickel in their jewelry now, even though it was advertised for 11 years that it was lead and nickel free, and then it just, like, one day was like, oh, never mind, no, we're not. That definitely rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and it is 100% certain that these people are not making as much money as they used to. That's where you see stuff like this happening, where they're just pulling out all the stops. They're gonna guilt trip you in every fucking way, tug on your heartstrings in any way possible, talk about your kids, talk about your time freedom, financial freedom, talk about all those things that are going to make people have an emotional reaction. Doesn't matter if it's true or false or attainable, doesn't matter. Say it, throw it at them. Get those sales, get those recruits, dude. Do whatever you gotta do. The whole thing is disgusting, and I'm just angry. Okay, so anyway, if you like this video, make sure you leave me a like and leave me a comment, of course. And now let's thank my patrons and my members, guys. The list of people I'm about to read off are my financial supporters. They get access to our private Discord server. We have a postcard club. You'll get early access to this video. Ooh, that's exciting. And so much more. So if any of that sounds good to you, you can go to patreon.com/SavannahMarie, or you can click the join button beneath this video to join my YouTube memberships. So with that being said, the biggest thank you in the whole wide world goes to Hula Chowdown, Janelle Pratt, Katrina Rosemerick, Elizabeth Wyatt, Eve Blondo, Nitty Dragon, Kutch Squad 2.0, Leanne, Meredith Nakata, Sheila Tapia, Turd Ferguson, hashtag Get the W, Weatherington Law, Alice W, Amanda Shannon, April Lindblom, Boris Geller, Caroline Reed, Casey Scraper, Katrina Rosemerick, Daniel Urena, E. Higgins, Jerry Duncan, Hannah Morrison, Hanimal Crossing, Heidi Ha, Julia Wheeler, Kim Cartwright, Critter, Maddie Darley, Marley Fletcher, Ray, Tuesday the 13th, Rebecca 88, Colin F, The Best Elephant, Rebecca Wadsworth, Laura Jensen, Mitchie 84, Vegan Chicky Nuggy, Carol Jenks, Jess Kronfeld, Emion, Kazi, Auntie Lou, Little Birdie, and Fallon Lowry, and to the rest of my wonderful financial supporters, thank you so much for being here and for being you. And even if you're not a financial supporter of mine, thank you for making it to the end of this video. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for everything you do. Keep making waves, babes. I'll smell y'all later, Mommy Tsunami.